I'm here today to talk to you about innovation in times of economic uncertainty. I'm hoping to convince you that now is absolutely the right time. Oh, thank you. Now is absolutely the right time to be focusing in on innovation. And I'm going to leave you with a set of questions which will hopefully help you to check that your business is really set up to maximize the value from these ideas. For those of you who don't know me, I'm the, sorry, you'll see my voice stop and start at random points. I do apologize. So for those of you who don't know me or I've not had the pleasure to meet yet, I'm the CTO for SMB and Scale at Microsoft UK. I spend a lot of my time working with organizations, really helping them to understand both how they can be better at productivity, but also, frankly, how they can look at innovation within their organization and how they can get to the stage where they're really set up for the future. I've got a couple of social media handles up here. Please feel free to add me, follow me, etc. I'd love to continue the conversation in the future. So it's Monday morning, and I wanted to start off this presentation with a couple of statistics. A couple of these actually surprised me, so I wanted to get a bit of a consensus from the audience here. This is a simple hands-up exercise. So, what percentage of the global consumers do not expect their country's economy to recover within the next 12 months? So hands up for folks who thinks it's about 20%. 20% of global consumers do not believe that their country's economy will recover in the next 12 months. 30%? Still nobody? 40%? 2 people, 4 people, 5 people, 40%? 50%? Oh, yeah, okay, we're getting better. 60%. Okay, so about half 50, half 60. The answer is 62%. 62% of global consumers do not expect their country's economy will recover out of the economic uncertainty we're going through right now, will not recover in the next 12 months. The next one, what percentage of consumers are substituting their normal purchases with new brands? 20%? A couple of people? 30%? A couple more people? 40%. Okay, no one's sure. It's 34%. So just over a third of consumers are actually substituting their normal purchases with new brands. They're looking at what they're spending, they're looking at how they're spending it, and they're starting to question what value they're getting from such purchases. This is the final one, I promise. I know it's a Monday morning. So what percentage of consumers are buying less expensive alternatives to their normal purchases? So again, 30%, 40%, 50%, okay, getting there, 60%. Okay, 50% of consumers. So 50% of consumers are buying less expensive alternatives. Again, revalidating that point that everyone is thinking about the value of what they're purchasing, and they're looking at it in an absolutely new way. So when we think through this, we've really got to think through the uncertainty that occurred, the last set of economic uncertainty that occurred in our lifetime. And actually, it wasn't too long ago. It was the COVID-19 pandemic, when actually we didn't know quite what was going to happen. The whole world was effectively shutting down, and we really had to question how we did things. Now, there was something that was really interesting that came out of that. 9 in 10 executives believed that the COVID-19 pandemic would fundamentally change the way in which they did business for the next 5 years. And actually, 85% of those executives also believed that customer needs would change as well. Now, the natural assumption is that if executives understand that their business is going to change, and they also understand that customer needs are going to change, then there's a natural tendency to assume that they're going to start looking at their business in a slightly different way. But that's not what happened. Only one industry increased their focus on innovation. And to Nick's point earlier, it was actually the pharmaceutical industry. The reason for that, I believe, is actually relatively simple. It's because we were looking at the pharmaceutical industry as a way of getting out of the COVID-19 pandemic. So they really had no choice. They had to go about innovating and doing things in a very different way. So there's a general understanding that we all have, that we do need to innovate, that we do need to continually go with the market. Our businesses need to adapt accordingly. But innovation is something that's relatively hard, and it's something that is doubly hard in moments like now, where actually you've got economic uncertainty, you've got questions on what it is you're purchasing, what it is you're buying, what it is you're spending, and you're trying to cost cut. Now, just to get a feel for the room today, just again, hands up, who here runs or is part of a business? Of you, how many of your businesses have recently reduced costs and or investments? Again, just by way of hands up. Okay, that's interesting. And then, how many of your businesses have reduced a focus on innovation recently? Okay, well, that's goodness. Actually, a lot of the conversations that I have with businesses at the moment is about cost reduction. And one of the conversations that I'm having a lot with SMEs across the UK is how do they go about trying to reinvigorate their innovative agenda, because they don't know how to do it without spending lots of money. So just by way of understanding and to really cement this idea that innovation is important, let's take a look at what history tells us. If we look at the last financial crisis, actually, and we take the S&P 500 against innovative companies or companies that were innovating at the time, you can see that the market capitalization for innovative companies was up 10%, and that was during the financial crash. You can then see that actually, as we came out of the financial crisis, you had the market capitalization gap increase to 30%. So for anyone who wasn't 100% sure whether it is important to innovate in times of economic uncertainty, history tells us a very, very clear answer. You have to innovate. And the reason is because when we're in these times of uncertainty, that's really when opportunities emerge. Because as I said earlier, everyone is thinking slightly differently. So hopefully we all agree that actually now is the time to focus in on innovation. I'm not saying don't cost cut. I'm not saying don't be productive. In fact, that 10-point plan that Nick just went through, I think makes a lot of sense for a lot of reasons, certainly for the region, but probably more nationally as well. You have to focus on cost optimization, absolutely, but you cannot substitute innovation or you cannot cost cut on innovation as a way to save money. You will end up in the long run having a much, much bigger problem. And you need to capture that business value. So, I said I was going to leave you with a couple of questions. There's 8 essentials for innovation that McKinsey came out with, actually. And I think they're really very good as a way of, in somewhat of an introvert manner, having a look at your business, questioning what you do within your business, and working out if you are doing the most that you can to really get value out of such ideas. So the first 3: aspire, choose, and discover. Aspire is all about your acceptance, and it's acceptance across the entire organization. It's the executive management team, it's the senior management, the middle management, the analysts, the associates. Does everyone accept that innovation-led growth is going to be critical to the life of your business? And do you have targets that actually talk to that innovation? When you're choosing to invest, are you investing in a coherent time-risk fashion? What that really means is, are you seeing an idea and making sure that you do what you need to really get it out there in time before your competitors? And there is a risk associated to that, but how are you weighing that up? And then finally, what kind of insight do you have from the market, from the industry, from customers, to really help you create those growth propositions and those value propositions? Then we move on to actually the business models and how you go out to market. So the next 3: evolve, accelerate, and scale. Evolve is actually how do your business models change as a result of some of these ideas? And then when you're developing and deploying these, how are you deploying them in a way that will allow you to really get to market quickly before your competitors, before anyone else, so that you can really grab that market capitalization? And then finally, how do you scale? How are you ensuring that your idea can meet the demands of customers? The final 2, The final two essentials for innovation are really, how do you use your network? How are you utilizing and capitalizing on any external partnerships, external networks, organizations like the LEP? How are you really capitalizing on these partnerships? How are you using the universities and the relationships that they have in order to really be able to make the most of these ideas, and also to ensure that you're getting that diversity of thought? And then finally, this one's particularly important because we do have a talent shortage at the moment, and the government talks a lot about levelling up as well. How are you actually motivating your employees internally? How are you ensuring that your employees are actually rewarded for coming up with such ideas? How are you effectively, positively impacting that kind of behaviour? And is there more that you could be doing in that space? As I said, we're in a space at the moment where talent is at a shortage, so it's particularly important that we do that. So I think if you use these 8 questions and you really have a look internally, you really have a look at how you're going about doing business internally, I suspect you'll find potential opportunities for not only potentially for change, but also for positive change, so that you can really maximize on that value. Hopefully today I've convinced you that if you're not thinking about innovation, or if you're trying to cost cut on innovation, it's probably something you should look at again. But definitely, I hope this helps, and I really look forward to any questions. Thank you.